Have you read the first episode of the Queen's Games on Webtoons? If not, what are you doing here? Well, you can stick around. We are going to be breaking down some of the pivotal moments that I felt were part of the creation of this series, and I'm so excited to really just pull back the curtain and show you guys like my thought process behind like how I went about crafting this story. So to begin, I really feel like we have to start at the very beginning. So when the Webtoon contest was announced, I kind of did not have any sort of story that I was willing to give Webtoons. Let's say that. So I was like, I need to make something completely from scratch, something that I would, be willing to part ways with, would be willing to give off IP to, all of that stuff. And so I started thinking about like, what's something that really inspires me? What's something that I'm excited about first? Because although I'm willing to give up like certain rights and negotiate like terms for this series, I still want to be able to work on something that I enjoy and I have a lot of fun with. Like it's crazy the amount of people that are able to work on series that do not inspire them. And something that I learned from being a convention artist for a while, like sometimes people can tell when you're not loving the piece, like when you were not enjoying making it. And so I wanted to make something that I really enjoyed. So that led me to what really inspires me overall and what's something that I enjoy. And so I wanted to do something fun. So I started thinking about things that I thought were really fun. And so that led me down the novel rabbit hole. So if you guys do not know, I love to read. I love novels. I love audiobooks. So I was thinking about my favorite series that were really popular in the mass markets. And so immediately Hunger Games popped in my head. And if you guys do not know, I am a huge Hunger Games stan. Like I used to dress up to go to the movies. Like I would be there on premiere night, like Thursday at midnight. Like I was there. Like it was such a good time. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And there's so much that's in the Hunger Games that's more than just like a gladiatorial type of environment. Like there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of relations to like modern day. And so that really made me start thinking about like, oh, what if I did the concept of it being sort of like a reality show? And so that made me think of The Selection. So if you haven't read The Selection is basically like a reality show where a bunch of princesses are entering a contest basically to win the hand of the prince. And so I was like, ooh, actually, I really like that because I feel like that taps into a little bit of that mass market where like people love like this king and queen sort of like romance thing. Like often couples will call each other like king or queen or like my queen or my king, whatever they want to say. And so I was like, ooh, I love the idea of like a royal sort of setting, a royal wedding or something where there's like a lot of power at stake. And so all of this circled around to the Red Queen, which if you guys do not know by this point, I am obsessed with X-Men. And so I love anything with like superpowers. I love anything with like, magical abilities or some sort of magic system. And so I was like, you know what? This is how I'm going to make my series different. Hunger Games was really based in reality where I can make this super fantastical. Like I can really push like the limits of these characters by giving them like supernatural or special abilities. So I was like, okay, in this fantasy setting, the cast is going to have superpowers, which adds a whole nother layer to the dynamic of what's going on. So from there, I was like, okay, well, what reality show do I want to do? And originally I thought Survivor. I was like, Survivor would be a really good setting. But then I felt like Survivor is very secluded from like the actual prince. And I really wanted the prince to have interactions with the cast. And so I was like, okay, what's something that the main love interest has a lot of interactions with the cast? And that led me to The Bachelor. And I'm not a fan of The Bachelor, but in theory, it is a very entertaining concept. And I felt like with the rose elements and like the ring elements, like there's so much symbolism there that this is perfect. Like it's easy. You can understand immediately when I say it's The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games, like you immediately get it. You know what the story is like. So when I was crafting this in the script phase, I really wanted to decide like, okay, who's the main character? Well, this is where I struggled so much because like on Webtoons, everything is very character first. I cannot think of really any series that put plot first. Maybe Tower of God, but I was like, you know what? None of these characters are more important than the games. The games should be what is put first. So I decided to make a plot first story over everything else. So with the conception done, like I had my kind of log line, it's The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games, and it's going to be a plot first story, which meant that I needed to make sure that the plot was super compelling. So that is how the conception of this all came together in a nutshell. Like it was a lot of like refining back and forth, and I got people to help me to like clarify things and make things a little easier to understand, because like there's so many different nuances to this where it's not just two people getting married, it's like royalty getting married. So there's a lot of like different relations involved. There's the international concept. So it's like, okay, why would someone from another country come to this? Why would a rival come to this? So there was a lot of like fine tuning that needed to be done to the script before I could even start drawing, which is why like originally I was supposed to be done with scripts by end of January so I could start drawing in February, and that would essentially give me a month. I did not finish scripts until like March, and the only reason I feel like I even started drawing was because one of my mutuals was like, okay, I don't think you need to be refining the script anymore at this point. And I was like, you know what? Fair point. Fair freaking point. So let's start with how the whole story opens. So we have our lights, camera, action. And I wanted to spotlight the aspect that we immediately get introduced to Lenny. It's like the third panel that you see, which I really wanted to lean into a little bit of fan service because, hey, I'm spreading the gospel of the ab love. Like, I really wanted people who are on Webtoons who are obsessed with this trope to be fully fed. And to be honest, like, literally every male character that you see in the first 3 episodes does not know what a shirt is. Like, they could not be bothered. They do not know what the concept of upper body clothing is. So, moving forward from that, just thinking about like how the Queen's Games is introduced, I knew in that first episode it needed to be really exposition heavy. It really needed to explain everything clearly and concisely. Like, I was like, I can only do this in 1 episode, but I need to make sure I do it in a way that I feel is fun enough and easy enough to understand. So when Lenny comes in, he really sets like how high the stakes are. He really kind of showcases like we are entering into a reality show, and it sets the tone that it's not just like a fantasy. Like, this is going to be a spectacle. Like, this is going to be something for the audience and not the readers. So this is where I have to clarify. So this is going to be slightly confusing. When I say audience, I'm referring to the characters in the webtoons that are watching the show versus readers who are the people reading the series. So the audience knows, like, from the way when Lenny is talking about this, it's pure spectacle. It's pure fun. Like, that is going to be the entire thing. And so I think it's a little bit of like disarming to readers when they're looking at this, because it's kind of like, oh, it's super high excitement, high energy, all of that stuff. And so your guard is down. So you're reading it and you're like, okay, I'm feeling this. This is a reality show. It's a love story. And here's the thing about that. Like, I wanted to set up in the first episode that this is like a love story. Like, it's very much like, okay, I want to make you think that it's this so that I can pull the rug out from underneath you. And I thought about like other series, and like Survivor, Big Brother, they all kind of explain the concept of the show within like the first 3 to 5 minutes of each season. And I was like, actually, you know what? This really fits with the whole concept of the Queen's Games. Like, it's a reality show, so he needs to explain the rules. And so I wanted to emphasize why he was explaining even more by having that line that the last time that the Queen's Games happened was like 700 or 800 years ago. So it really puts into context why this episode needed to happen, because the audience did not really understand the concept of these games. And I think people do not understand like how much time erodes our understanding of things, because like, yeah, we can look at something 20 years ago and be like, yeah, I know exactly how that happened. But if you go back 100 years from now, could you really explain like what the 1920s were like, what the environment was like, what the people were like, what the ideology was like? And so it's really hard, I think, to be able to just be like, oh yeah, everybody should understand what this concept is. I don't think three-fourths of people in America could explain to you, well, like what the Revolutionary War was like. And that's a huge part of our history. And so like people know what it is, but do they know like little things about it? Do they know big things about it? Do they know like what the important wars were? So I really felt that it was really important to convey to the readers like, this is why this episode is happening, because the audience needs to know. Lenny's explaining to them why this is happening. So I would say from this, I think I've talked about this before in previous videos, but it's really important to do exposition, I feel, in a way that is actually really fun. And giving exposition to a character who believes that they are God, believes that they are larger than life, is 1000% an easy way to make your exposition super fun. So then we get these scenes where we have the contestants, and these scenes were so important to me to make sure that they were fully immersive. And I really wanted to bring these to life because I remember when I was reading Jungle Juice for the first time, they had so many panels when the main character enters into the bug world where like all of these random side characters that we never see again, like background characters, were like fully drawn, fully colored, which I did not have time to fully color all of these random characters and outfits, but it really immersed me into that world. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I really wanted to make sure that if I cannot color every character, that I want all of the designs to be different. I want all of them to feel different. I want all of them to be exciting and unique. And I want you, when you're looking at the contestants, to feel like it's not just random, like a random background brush. It's like actual people waiting to participate in these games. So I feel like when readers are looking at this, you can instantly get a sense of the scale and the style of the competition, because you can kind of see like everybody's kind of dressed up. It's like a lot of formal wear. There's lots of dresses, like, and so that's kind of the vibe. And then you see like a long line of like very diverse women. And this is why I felt at the very least I needed to color one of the contestant pages, because, or panels, because I wanted people to see like there are all different types of people in this world. Like it is not just like one ethnicity, one nationality. It's not just one hair color. Like it's all different types. Like I really wanted people to be fully immersed into this fantasy setting and really feel like, hey, what would I look like if I was in this line of contestants? Like, how would I feel? How would I vibe out? Like, would I go like crazy and wear like a Met Gala outfit? Would I go like very traditional and do like a Miss Universe? Like, and so that was kind of the feel. I wanted people to really be able to see like this world is inclusive. And I think that that is really highlighted when we get to the fan favorites. So these are the quote unquote important contestants. And the reason why they're important is because they stand out, not only in their actual looks, but just in their outfits. I wanted each one of them to have like a cosplayable sort of vibe. So like if people actually decided like, oh yeah, I like this character, like she's not in like a basic outfit, like she's in something that you would be like excited to wear, like you would feel like is very like fashion forward, or very, you know, like you would be proud to be in that sort of outfit. Like I didn't want it to just be anything generic. So when I was coming up with the design for these characters, if you guys do not know, I am slightly obsessed with Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Red Wing Waves, and so my entire methodology was like, you know what? All of these contestants can be like gacha characters. They can all be different characters that we as the readers can decide like which one is our favorite. Because when you think about shows like Survivor or The Bachelor, none of us know who's going to be eliminated. Like it's not like a novel, and it's not like a movie where like there's roads that clearly point to this person being eliminated. Because I'm watching Survivor right now, and sometimes I'm just gagged at the fact that like a certain character was eliminated. And I'm like, wait, what? They were in the majority alliance. So that's why each of these characters has like main character energy. Like when you look at them, you should feel like, okay, I feel like because you went so hard on the design, either they're like massively important or you just love making character designs, which both can be true at the same time. So it's kind of like a choose your fighters sort of thing. You get a glimpse into the important characters by really being able to see these designs. And then again, for the important contestants, I really wanted to push forward like all different types of characters. So like different tropes, different ethnicities, and different styles. Now, originally, this panel, this long panel where you see like the 7 important contestants, it was supposed to be just something showcasing that they had abilities, because later on you were going to get to see that these characters were like see them in action. But because of the deadline, I just did not have time. So I thought, okay, you know what? I need to do like an epic introduction panel. And then like when I finished it, I felt like something was missing. I felt like I needed to give more context so that people would understand like what these characters kind of represented and why they were all so different. Hi Raccoon, hi Hoot Hoot. And so looking at each of these characters, that's why they get a little like name card with like what they are. So like just looking on the screen, you have like the Ice Queen, you have the strategist, you have the acrobat, the songstress, the superhero. And so all of these were to kind of indicate to people like who they are and what archetype they kind of fit into, so that you could understand a little bit better as to what type of people are in these games. And the reason why I like that even so much more is, for instance, like with the strategist, you kind of think about a character who is really smart. So we have like the smart character trope. And then with Mulani, you have the warrior archetype. And so you think of a character that's physically strong. So you can see like there's all different types of personalities, different types of advantages. And so all of this makes it where the readers can associate differently to each character. Okay, so that kind of leads us into our 8th important contestant, which is Chelsea. Now, Chelsea has a completely different vibe from every other character that is introduced. And the whole reason for this is because Chelsea is important. Like, she stands out, but she stands out for different reasons. Like, she gives so much more of an eerie vibe. Like, all of the other characters, I feel like, come across very glamorous, very, like, in the spotlight, where she comes across, like, who is this demon walking through the halls? I'm sorry, Raccoon, you did miss the abs. Jess said channeling George R. R. Martin, giving us a lot of main characters to get attached to so you can ruin our lives. That is kind of the purpose, to be honest. Like, 1000% George R. R. Martin. I'm feeling his vibe as I've been writing this entire series. We'll go back to the abs. You'll get to see them later, Raccoon. You'll get to see them later. So looking at Chelsea, I feel like her design, just because of how strange she is, I feel like it makes people feel like she's kind of powerful. Like, and I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like when you look at her, you just get like old wise witch. But I really wanted her to stand out because she is a pivotal character. And so that's why she has like kind of highlights in every episode. And it's really interesting because I don't think people realize she was in episode 1, she's in episode 2, and she's in episode 3. There aren't, well, I guess we don't see all the characters, but there's only 3 characters that are in every episode. And so I feel like her importance is underplayed in the writing of the story, but it's so important from the first episode to point out who she is. And then you can see how society really, really hates her. Like, it's not just like the contestants that hate her, but the audience, even the readers might feel kind of weird by her because of her design. And all of that was crafted to feel that way about Chelsea. All right, so let's actually look at the Webtoon episode. So, looking at, I know it's technical difficulties every episode. Like, I just cannot escape a technical difficulty. One of these days, I'm not going to have any problems. Okay, so from the very beginning, from the opening panels, we get this lights, camera, action. And I really feel like this paneling is underestimated in the fact that this should feel not like reality. Like everything is pumped way up. Like when you think about reality TV, what you're seeing is not the full footage. You're seeing the edited version. Now, this is live, but even with live footage, it still can be spliced, it can be stopped, it can be delayed where things are more impactful or things are given to the readers in a way where you don't understand that this is edited footage. But all the time, if you look at any content from anybody who's been on a reality show, they talk about the type of edit that they get. Oh, I got the villain edit. I got the love interest edit. I got the dumb gym bro edit. Like all of that does play a role in how things happen. And so I feel like it should not be underestimated how this opening happens because it sets the tone that this is TV. Like this is not actually the reality of the story. We are getting fed, and the readers and the audience are getting fed what Lenny wants them to see. And so that kind of leads us into like Lenny's actual manipulation. And I want you to think for a second about the fact that this is like a huge deal in their nation, in their kingdom, whatever you want to call it. And so they're hosting this huge games in order to determine who's going to be the next queen of their kingdom. And so they sent out a global invitation. And so the person who hosts this would have to be extremely important. Well, Lenny is beloved by all of the people. The people love him. And so when you think about Lenny as a character in of himself, if we look at the, what is this thing called? The clapperboard, it brings out that he's the producer and he's the director of this entire televised series. Producers and directors are the worst on any reality show. And so that's why I feel like it should not be underestimated that Lenny is going to do what he can to get the best ratings. And so while Lenny is live, not only... Oh, here's the abs, by the way. I know we were asking for this earlier, but here they are in their full glory. But everything that Lenny does is a manipulation, especially when he's live and it has the spotlight on. So from the moment we see him here, he's turned up to an 11. This is to manipulate. It's not to do anything else. And see, he just appeared here. He's appeared, and then right after that, the reaction from the crowd. They are super duper excited to see him. I feel like there's a speech bubble here missing. I think there's a speech bubble missing. I think there's two missing. Oh man. Well, that sucks. Sometimes you don't realize things until it's too late. Oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, so when we look at this, we see him embracing the audience. Like all of these are little cues into how Lenny is attempting to manipulate the audience. So we see him embracing them, and he's like really interacting with them, really excited to be there with them, to amp them up, to make them excited for the games. Like we get all of these like really close-up shots of him like being contemplative. And so all of this is not only to manipulate the audience, but to manipulate the readers. And so we see him very tearful. So like you might think, oh man, this guy is just so sweet and kind and loving. Untrue. Not true. Not true. He could not care less about any of this stuff. And although it's not heavily emphasized in the episode, you get glimpses of his reactions to things because like a second ago, he was just crying. But now he's got this crazy smirk on his face. So it's just one of those things where I feel like it's meant to go under the radar, but it's also meant to give us huge glimpses into the fact that these games are being chess pieced. They're being manipulated by our boy here. And so, as we continue to move down into the episode, this is where we actually get the break in the mass. We see the facade fully come forth, and there's Lenny really reacting to the fact that Chelsea is here in the games. And we saw the reaction from everyone else. They were all disgusted, they hated him. And then we see his reaction. He's excited that she's there. So that fracture really opens up a very clear to me understanding that Lenny is not here to play nice. Another thing, and see, then right after that, right after we get this scary reaction from him, he goes back to being cute and charming. So that's what I'm saying. It's very like flip the switch sort of vibes. All right, and my last thing that I really wanted to emphasize was the audience reactions and how they hold weight. And as we continue to read through episode 2 and episode 3, we really get to see that those reactions from the audience are really important. They kind of convey to the readers like, oh, is something shocking happening? And like we see the audience react to what's happening, and you can see like, oh, they're shocked as well. Like this was not planned. This was not meant to happen. And so these are all really good indicators, in my opinion, that help the audience to understand this fantastical world. Yes, Kyson. Lenny has got his own agenda, 100%. And so my very last little tidbit of information to share is the Queen's Games logo. So if you have not paid it any attention, at the end of each logo of the Queen's Games, there is a chess piece. Each chess piece kind of indicates what's going on in the episode, and I think I'll leave that as a Easter egg for you guys to theorize, like why the queen's piece is here, why in the next episode it's a king's piece, and why in the last episode it's a pawn's piece. Okay, so let's play from current slide. So that was kind of just a breakdown of some of the behind the scenes of how the first episode was crafted, why it was crafted the way it was, like what my intentions for the first episode was. It was really an exposition episode at the end of the day, but it really showcased a lot of who Lenny was, and I feel like it can go under the radar why Lenny's important. Alright, so please support the Queen's Games on Webtoons. If you haven't checked it out, I promise you shall enjoy it. Alright, well, I'm getting ready to go. I said I wanted to keep it under 30 minutes, and I think I was able to do it. So thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me, and I will catch you all in the next video.